What is the hidden purpose?
The hidden purpose. We have conscious purpose. I want to do this. And then we have the hidden purpose sometimes. Perhaps the best way to describe it is how I discovered that in myself. When I was a young child, my parents got divorced and I was sent to boarding school. And I felt that I was bad. It was my fault in some way. And so then my hidden purpose became to be good so that God would bring them back together again. So then, for the next decades, I did an enormous amount of good practice, meditating, trying to make myself good. So, but not really realizing what was driving me, and not really getting the result that I should have got. And then, at a certain point, I realized that the reason I wasn't getting the result I should have got was because my volition, my intention, my motivation was inauthentic. It was, in fact, my hidden purpose was to get my parents back together again and appear good. However, when I then let go of that and accepted that and released that, then I could develop an authentic volition, which then bore tremendously nice fruits. So it manifests in all kinds of different ways. For example, if as a child one feels unloved, then one's hidden purpose might be to teach one's parents by creating a life of dysfunction. And so really what the hidden purpose of creating a life of dysfunction is, you're saying, you see, if you treat children this way, if you don't love children, this is what turns out. Or, for example, if you feel that you're hard done by your parents, I mean, I'm using parents, but it doesn't necessarily have to be parent, it can be anybody or anything, then you might want to punish them. So, knowing what their dream for you is, you have a hidden purpose of punishing them by not pleasing them. So you generate a life whereby you don't succeed in the way they would want you to succeed, thus punishing them. But of course they don't get that. They don't get the teaching or the punishment. They don't see it as that. They just think, what? Why did it turn out like that? But one can get to the point where one sees these hidden purposes, and then transformation is possible. You can't wish them away. You actually have to find them and see them and undo them and open them, and then you can. So the hidden purposes show up in all kinds of different ways. If, for example, someone feels shame, or they internally they feel shame, then they will have a hidden purpose of projecting the opposite of that. They'll come across as very pure, as very holy, as very pure, whatever, spiritual. To really and their hidden purpose is to compensate for feeling I'm not good enough. And of course, I'm not good enough is a hidden purpose as well. So the hidden purpose, when someone feels I'm not good enough, their hidden purpose can involve blame. Whose fault is it that I'm not good enough? So it's important to try this on, perhaps. If somebody is doing something and not getting a full result from it, or you see, sometimes you get people who have a hidden purpose to validate themselves. So they make an enormous effort and they get a result ostensibly in whatever field pursuing, but it doesn't bring them the satisfaction. It doesn't bring them the fulfillment, because there is no fulfillment in doing that. It's a false purpose. So if you're doing something and you're doing it well, but you're not getting the fulfillment from it, then perhaps it's because you're operating from a hidden purpose. And it's good to look at that, to really question, well, why am I doing this? And what is my motive? And to clear it, because life can get incredibly simple. And the oceans of misery and grief can burn up in the blazing light of resting as awareness and moving out of the psychological story and actually coming into a place where no volition or intention is even necessary, because you are just now free-flowing awareness. You are governed by the same incomprehensible order and volition that the whole of nature is. Yesterday I was driving along and I turned my head, and exactly as I turned my head, an apple fell from a tree and hit the ground. And when it did, suddenly it seemed like everything around it was informed by it, and there was like a moment of like wonder. And our lives can be like that once we start to move away from inhabiting and identifying with the psychological self. The psychological self is who the past made us and who we made ourselves up to be from our interpretation of the past. And it's nothing but grief and stupidity. That isn't who we are. And what a freedom to start to see that there's something other than the psychological self. That there's something that's whole, that's something that is not dark or light, just whole, and could never be impacted on by anything that happened in the drama. And that's our presence. There's no such thing as having a damaged presence. Presence is always whole. So what is the true purpose? Our embedded, deeply encoded, primal core purpose is to realize, who am I? And to realize what actually is happening. And when that is felt, which is an ongoing thing, you could live for 10,000 years, 1,000,000 lifetimes, and still you'd be sitting there going, God, wow, did you see the apple fall from the tree? Unbelievable. Because they do it in private normally. But it's such a wonder. And that's the world we want to be in, is the wonderful world of self-acceptance, of accepting ourselves as we actually are, completely and wholly and compassionately. And then there's space, and then there's the capacity to share that with others. And in that there is love, but not a love that can be measured, a love that just is who we are.